The topic is Destructor. In this video, we'll learn about Destructor, what does it mean by Destructor, and the destructors in inheritance, then virtual destructors. For explaining these things, I have taken one example. Let us first study the example, then we'll talk about all these things. I have a class called base class. It is having two public member functions, that is base, having same name, it's a constructor, yes. Again base, having same name but a symbol tilde is used here. So what is this? This is a destructor. Constructor and destructor both will have same name as a class name, but the difference is it will have a tilde symbol used here. The next, I have a derived class which is inheriting from base class. Then it is also having constructor and destructor. Now let us understand what does it mean by destructor and when it is called. See, destructor is a member function of a class that is useful for releasing the resources acquired by an object of a class. What does it mean? See, suppose in a class, if you are using some file, so in constructor we will open the file, in destructor we should close the file. If a class is using some extra memory in heap, so it may be acquiring it in constructor or in other functions also. But when the object is being destroyed, it should release the memory. Another example, a class may be using network connection. So in constructor, it may be getting the network connection. And in destructor, it should release the network connection. It is just like at your college, in a sports room or a sports department, you want to play game or you want to play a sport. So you will take all the things that you require. Bat and the ball, whatever the things that you take, you acquire them, you play, and when you have finished your game, you will return that. So that's what in programming also, if we acquire resources, we should release them. Usually in constructors we acquire, and in destructors we release them finally at the end. Even if we are acquiring at any other place, in destructor is the right place for releasing the resources. So that's the use of destructor. Now let us see this example. Here I have main function. Inside that main function I am creating an object of derived class D. Now about the constructors, we have already studied. When an object of derived class is created, then how the constructors are called. So the first constructor called is the constructor of base class. So constructor of base class is displaying base constructor. So this will be displayed on the screen if you run this program, this as a program, base constructor, right? So I will not write fully, it is base constructor. Then after that, derived class constructor will be called, that is derived constructor, right? This will be called. So we already know this one. Then, now what is a destructor? When the object is being destroyed, destructor is called. So when the object is constructed, constructor is called. When it is destroyed, destructor is called. So can you tell me where the object is getting destroyed? Once the main function ends, object will be destroyed. Because the program itself is ending, so that object will no more be present in the memory, it is destroyed. So at the end of the main function, what all you processing you do here, at the end when you reach here, then the destructor will be called. So how the destructors are called? So at the end of the main function, we get these two messages. First, the destructor of derived class will be called, then the destructor of base class will be called. So here we'll get a message that is derived destructor, right? Then base class destructor. So that's it. This is how destructors are called in inheritance. So if you are creating an object of derived class and when it is being destroyed, first the destructor of derived class is called, then the destructor of base class is called. So in contrast to the constructor, destructors are called from bottom up. So this is about destructors in inheritance. Now next thing, we will learn about virtual destructors. So for that I'll write on some code here. First of all, let us look at some problem. Then I'll explain you virtual destructor. See, I have a base class pointer and an object is of derived class. This is a common thing we found. Already we have discussed this type of thing in previous videos also. Base class pointer, derived class object. Then I am creating it dynamically. This is created in heap with a new I am creating, right? Then after some time I am deleting it because dynamically created memory should be deleted when not required. So I am deleting it. So I said delete P. So this object will be destroyed. So object is derived class. But when the object is deleted, means destroyed, which function will be called? Destructor. But whose function should be called? Because this is derived class object. So first this one, then this one should be called. Yes, but no, that will not happen. Then which constructor will be called? See, remember in C++, the functions are called depending on the pointer, not upon the object. So the pointer is base class pointer. So only base class destructor will be called. Derived class destructor will not be called. C++ compiler thinks that this is a object of this class because you are using pointer P. It will not see what object is attached. So it will call the destructor function of a base class. So only one thing will be displayed here after this line, that is base destructor will be displayed. So only this message we will get. But suppose we want the destructor of derived class should also be called. Yes, it should behave normally, that is destructor of a derived class, then the destructor of base class should be called. We want it to work like this, even if pointer is base class, object is derived class, then also it should work like this. So for that we have to write down a keyword virtual here in front of the base class destructor. If you write virtual there, then even though the pointer is of base class, object is derived class, when the object is deleted, first the destructor of derived class will be called, right? Destructor of derived class will be called, then the destructor of base class will be called. This is how virtual destructor works. So it means that if you have written something in the destructor of base class, that is for releasing the resources. Destructors are used for releasing the resources. If any resources are acquired in the constructor, we release them. So if you don't make it as virtual and this is how you are using derived class object, then only the resources acquired by the base class code that will be released. But the resources acquired by a derived class code will not be released because it will not execute. So this must also execute. So yes, if there is a chance in your program code that you will be using base class pointer and derived class object, if you are going to use this, then you must make it as virtual, then it will be a perfect code. Otherwise it may not be a perfect one, because if you try to do this, then the destructors are not called properly. So when do we use this actually? So this is useful for runtime polymorphism, right? It is useful. So if you want to achieve runtime polymorphism, then you have to make the base class functions as virtual. So similarly, destructor should also be made as virtual. Otherwise, partial work will be done. Only this is done, this will not be done. So that's it. This is about virtual destructor. So there is a demo available. You can check that demo. I have written the program code, the same code, and I have demonstrated there. So you can check that one.